TCS Ion. I welcome you all to this webinar. I am Surajit Mishra. I am from the TCS Ion Digital Manufacturing Consulting team. So today's topic that we have is automotive supply chain. So the overview of the topic that we have is the automotive supply chain has many different aspects and is a very complex system. Companies who work within the industry have to ensure that their supply chain management system is functioning properly and the profits are growing as your customer base does in reality. However, when the automotive industry continues to grow, challenges also continue to rise. Many of these challenges can be difficult or impossible to handle on your own. If you are a small to a medium-sized business, strategic supply chain management must always be the top priority so that you don't fall behind when these challenges appear. So in this session, we have invited two distinguished experts to understand the supply chain management in auto component industry. So it is my pleasure and honor to welcome and introduce our guests. So the first guest that we have is Mr. Girish Gowande. So Mr. Girish has a diploma in mechanical engineering from Government Polytechnic Pune and a BE in metallurgy from College of Engineering Pune, that is COEP. He is the head of supply chain engagement for Automotive Component Manufacturer Association of India. He is working on strategy and programs to create the ACMA brand in the domain of automotive component suppliers and automobile manufacturers. He is also engaged with the UNIDO program. Mr. Girish has earlier associated with automotive companies like Tata Motors and Chrysler. Mr. Girish comes with 30 years of total experience in various functions of quality and supply chain. He has experience to work with component manufacturers for over 12 years for product development, quality sustenance and improvement. Mr. Girish has also worked on lean implementation projects for more than 2 years under the direct guidance of the Japanese experts. Being in a leadership position and having variety of experience in the industrial field, Mr. Girish also is equipped to guide the companies to improve their operation and make them customer centric. Welcome, Mr. Girish Gowande.
Thank you.
So the next speaker that we have is Mr. Mukesh Kumar Tiwari. He has done his BE Mechanical from Advanced Production Systems, AICWA Inter, and he is also a PhD scholar. He is the Chief Operating Officer in Diversitech group of companies Indore currently. He has more than 30 years of professional experience and has exposure to complex manufacturing processes and material management functions, right from strategic sourcing, development of supply chain management. He is lead assessor of ISO 9000, ISO 14000, OHSAS 18000. He is an active member of Society of Automotive Engineers in India and was convener of one of the prestigious competition of BAJA SAE India 2018. He participated in World Quality Circle Convention at Hamamatsu, Japan. So I cordially welcome the speakers to this webinar today. So first, I will go to Girish sir. So Girish sir, first all of us will like to understand what are the challenges which impacts the automotive supply chain currently. So over to Girish sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Supply chain has always been a challenge, and when India is trying to grow multifold, the challenges are also increasing to that extent. Further, to add to the problems, this COVID situation again enhanced the whole set of problems. So typically at this point in time, if you have to look at the challenges, the first challenge that people are experiencing right now is the change in pace. There was a complete stop for some time, and then now suddenly there is a surge in requirement of component manufacturing and supplying. So increasing that pace all of a sudden is a big problem. Even in normal routine conditions, ramp up is always a challenge. But now in this condition, it is even more a bigger challenge. And why it is bigger challenge? Because it is also complemented by the resource constraints. Now a lot of employees, labor, they have migrated away from the workplace, and not getting the correct manpower in place in time is one big challenge. Similarly, the raw material suppliers who are operating these the basic channels of raw materials feeding, they are also kind of interrupted. So that is another challenge to continue and maintain the flow of the raw materials. Money is a big problem. People were using moratorium for some time, but even then the working capital is again a big challenge in front of supply chain. So there are challenges of change in technology. There is a challenge of government push now on localization, and there has been a disruption at the customer end. Customers had stopped producing, now they are increasing their production. Some suppliers have gone out of the circulation at the moment, so they have to be replaced by another suppliers. So all these challenges are now coming together in front of supply chain. Supply chain somehow meeting the delivery is not the purpose. It has to also have a sustainability. And once they start supplying, they must make sure that the flow continues. Only then the OEMs or the customers will continue to build the way they want, and then that will develop the rhythm. So today, getting that into that rhythm is if I have to consolidate all these problems together, that is the biggest challenge in front of supply chain.
Thanks, Girish sir, for providing that key input of the challenges and impact that currently the automotive supply chain industry is undergoing. I again come back to you to understand what is the difference between the agile and the resilient supply chain, and which is better?
Okay. I mean, this question is also now coming again and again on the surface. Agile is quickness, nimbleness, the fast response. And as I've been saying, that these requirements are forever, whether it is this COVID situation or otherwise also. So one has to quickly respond to the changing environment, changing requirements of the customer. So that is agility. Now, for example, some suppliers who were at a distance and got inoperative for some time, and those developments are coming to the local suppliers. There is also a thrust on localization. Some imports are also under problem. So some localization. Now some upward integration is also expected, that the suppliers are expected to put two things together and then supply the assembly level. So this new development and quickly getting into that mode of new development is agility. Then if there is any constraint, if there is any problem, if there is any disruption of any kind, it is expected that suppliers quickly respond to that. Suppose a schedule of the customer changes, then without starving the production, the supplier has to change the gears and maintain the supplies. So that is agility. And therefore you need some fast decision making. Now earlier hierarchical paradigm doesn't work nowadays. Whenever there is a situation, immediately the person who is in front, he has to quickly take the decision. And this cannot come unless it's backed up with the systems and procedures. So agility, it appears as quick and something nimbleness, but it comes through the buildup of process and systems. So that is agility. And then what is resilience? Resilience is a stamina. It's a stamina. So, like as I said earlier, that say working capital, if it's a constraint, but it also needs to sustain some ups and downs of both sides. On one side, customer is not ready to or not able to pay in time, so you need some strength to stand in that. Now, if there is a manpower constraint, then you have to go out of your normal routines and then get the manpower and then start doing it. So, stamina or withstanding the pressures and managing through that is resilience. So, I do not think it is this or that. I think both are equally important, and supply chain has to be agile also, and it has to be resilient also. So, I think both the properties, so to say, of the supply chain go hand in hand, and both have to be there.
Thanks, Girish, sir, for making us understand both the properties, that is agile and resilient. I again come back to you to understand how impact of external factors significantly disrupts the automotive supply chain.
Yeah, external factors, if I have to say that the relationships are changing now. And for example, if I take only to take say communication, then this Internet of Things and everything getting online is a external factor which is pushing the suppliers into changing their current methods of working. Now the mobile apps and then supply relationship management portals and then file transfer protocols, these are the things which are already there now. And this wasn't in practice so much maybe 2 years back, 3 years back, and it is coming at a very rapid pace. So this one factor is one which is really coming in a big way. Second is there is also positives. Government policies are changing and they are announcing different things. For example, the recent announcement on productivity linked incentive, or there was a package on MSME, or sometime back our Prime Minister announced that MSMEs can supply their supplies to the extent of 25% is reserved for public sector units. So this is another set of opportunities which get created because of change in the government perspective. Government is worrying and caring about MSME sector, and they are bringing out different things. So when such new schemes are coming in the environment, the outlook of MSMEs again gets changed. So current arrangement or alignment with the customers also have to diversify. This is one more impact that is coming from external field. Then customers themselves are coming with different changes. If you have seen in last 3-4 months, so many new models are getting launched, and there are quite a few in the pipeline also. Agriculture is growing at a very fast pace. Despite this disruption in between, the growth rate has been more than what was experienced last year. So this change in customer demands and the pace of the industry is another external factor which is coming to the supply chain. The new technology, because we have to localize, indigenize a lot of technology parts, particularly in the area of steel and then tires and then electronics. So these are some of the things even the big companies like Maruti or SIAM, the Institute of or the Association of Auto Manufacturers, they are now coming with such requirements that we should focus on these commodities. So these are some of the external factors which are coming in. Mobility of the resources. Earlier, people were doing physical visits and physically approaching the customer, and customer used to come to supplier. Now that is also changing. There is a constraint on physical movement. Now, certain countries you can go to, but certain countries you cannot go to. For example, you cannot go to Germany. Now it's an external factor which is impacting the building of relationship or building or maintaining, sustaining the supply chains. So like this, there are these 3-4 external factors which are very predominantly affecting the supply chain at this point in time.
Thanks, Girish sir, for highlighting the external factors which are disrupting the automotive industry. We again come back to you to understand what are the tools for improving automotive supply chain performance at lower costs.
Okay. Now here also, when we speak of tools, we have to speak of 2-3 different categories of using different methods. Tools is not necessarily something in the hard form, but it's also the way we work. So if we just look at, say, process, then digitization and digitalization of these processes is something that one has to look at now. For example, material flow and information flow between the supplier and customer is one area where we have to make digitalization. So schedules will flow from customer, and then suppliers will intimate shipment notifications online. So putting up that into place is one thing which is required. So wherever there was a manual transfer of information and wherever there was a manual acknowledgement of materials, all have to convert into a digital mode now. Similarly, when it comes to process control, that also needs to be now more and more self-maintained, or again leveraging the industry 4.0 tools, different sensors and connectors and the softwares, integrating everything together. One more tool one has to use is the mobility constraint that I mentioned some time back is same. Meeting the customers virtually and making them visit our plant virtually. We are currently doing a lot of assessments online, and we have received some inquiries from companies in Korea that they want to develop something in India. So we actually take the camera and make a virtual tour for them so that they can see the factory here instead of coming in physically. So such kind of tools are now required. So this is related to, say, processes. Another segment that we have to look at is the people part of it. Earlier, there was a hierarchy that you have an operator, you have a supervisor, then you have a manager, and then plant manager, like this. Now, this thinking has to be kept aside. And the person who is on the machine, who's actually doing some work, he has to be his own manager. And he has to communicate about the output, about the problems, about the improvements that are possible. So he is the person now who has to convert or upgrade himself into a higher role. And we remove those multi-layer hierarchy of management. So working on this staff, I will not call them now as workers and staff. Staff is everybody who's working. So reducing those layers through upgrading, upskilling of the people is one more process that we have to put in place. Now, this is within the industry, but there is equally a big opportunity to collaborate between industries. Say in one industrial area, companies come together and then they work on, say, waste disposal or common testing facilities or common raw material distribution centers. And interestingly, there are government schemes which offer very significant sums of money to create this kind of infrastructure. And so such schemes are available and can be used by the industries or companies in that particular industrial area. So there is something which has to be done within the plant, and there is something which can be done at an industry level also. So I think these are the tools or the methods that one has to use to come out of this situation and become more agile and become more resilient. So that is what I think.
What is the timely supply chain management issues to be researched as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic situation? and what are the supply chain challenges in restarting the auto industry after COVID, sir?
Perhaps Surjit, thank you. You had raised a question that most of the supply chain professionals, they are combating on day to day post pandemic, or I would say the unlock to 6th of May when we started. Almost we had as supply chain professional, we had nightmares in May. Then July onward, the things have started taking shape, and even today, many a time, the entire supply chain, how the material was flowing in that value chain, has totally disturbed, especially because of pandemic. The industries are suffering with the lack of manpower, skilled manpower they do have at their end, and their vendor ends, the people who have been adding the values at outsource. So the entire value chain is disturbed. We find challenges with the transportation. There is a lack of manpower at transporters end also. Maybe driving, maybe handling, maybe porting things. So what the supply chain was, people had reached to before COVID, I would say in December, January or February 20 early. People had tried to bring a single line flow in their supply chain, which is now post pandemic has turned out to be a crisscross supply chain. The part is required to move to multiple places of the chain, and that is purely resulting into forecasting. The restart after pandemic, I would not take like that before January, when the whole world was talking of industrial revolution as industry 4.0 has come down to industry 3.19. I consider it to be a phase of industrialization, industry 8 phase 3, and 0.19 I just refer it to because of COVID-19. It's my own terminology. So industry is having a restart at 3.19 from 6th of May onward, and things have started taking shape and moving in direction. So when there is a need to really take a learning from all this, because what we were talking and we were going through all facts, almost every 100 years there is a pandemic like situation in the world. So maybe what our ancestor could not had predicted for 2020 going to be, at least we should be here to capture this data, do a lot of research with due diligence. Let's come out with a roadmap for how we will be in 21-20. If at all there is a pandemic, how our people would be handling to it. So maybe this learning would may take it forward. It has hit not only auto, almost all the part of industry. It has affected badly, but mostly our revenues grossly comes from industry through auto and auto-dependent industries. So it's a very relevant to discuss this question in perspective of an auto industry.
Thanks very much, sir, for your key inputs and thoughts. So I come back to you again to understand how robotic process automation can streamline the supply chain operations. Sir.
See, for robo, it's my own thinking and my own adoption. The robo are helpful in mechanizing the process, automating the things, but in our scenario, in our situation, it always need to be seen that the kind of activities where man dependence is more and availability of human resource can lead to miss a target are. There are many activities in our value process or in this value chain where it is cumbersome for a human to perform. In all such situations, definitely we should have robotization. Robo must be deployed there in such cases. Otherwise, we should just not think of coming out with the deployment of robots for performing entire process or entire operation. When it comes to supply chain, of course, the most important part, the packagings and deliveries. Of course, that is one part. Packagings can be one part where things can be handed over to robots for mechanizing the activities. In manufacturing, of course, where the fit finish is required and operation is difficult to perform for reproducibility, there definitely robots are welcomed by industry and they are deployed, particularly performing the welding operations. They are there already and they find a good use. So deployment of robots should be judiciously reviewed and critically to be examined in respect to the resources available, because pandemic has not only hit the industries, it has hit the resources also. There's a good number of job people become unemployed. The good human resources available. So we always need to give a priority to human first. Difficult to human, we should move to robot.
Thanks, sir, for sharing your key inputs or thoughts in the same regard. So, moving ahead, we wish to understand from you how optimizing supply fulfillment in the automotive supply chain can improve the product.
See, optimizing supply fulfillment, we need to come out with the right forecasting and looking at the trend of past 4 months, the challenges we are facing, there is a lot of fluctuation in customer demand. It is too difficult for analysts even today to correctly foresee the demand, and this fluctuation of demand and the gaps in forecasting is creating a situation where we feel at delivery point from the industry, who rather the feeding point, it sometimes has surges, sometimes has high peaks of demand, which the entire team, with respect to organizing the resources, the raw material, they sometimes find it to be a unrealistic demand, and they prepare for 80% to 75% of the requirement forecasted by customer or indicated for delivery schedules. So because of this gap is resulting into an non-compliance in fulfilling the supply requirement. So basically this situation I foresee as a supply chain professional, the condition today, what is prevailing are the challenges we are facing may continue to be for another down 3-4 months. By that time, the market will get a stability and this forecasting will turn out to be more correct, more precise, and hopefully the supply fulfillment and delivery commitment will be more realistic and will be more fruitful.
We would like to understand how suppliers are innovating to keep pace with the auto industry and what changes needs to be done.
See, basically the innovation, the necessity, I go back to that old saying, the necessity is the mother of all inventions. The necessity for a auto industry cluster is driven, it is always a top driven approach. when it is driven by the principal, then only things move down. So basically, auto OEM, they drive a lot of changes. They come out with a lot of initiatives which brings their supplier base in action, and the things start upgrading. Of course, for there's a lot of innovations are happening on the shop floor, which is the innovation journey start from a small kaizen to a problem solving approach through quality story. But these innovations are happening on shop floor on day-to-day basis. But all this is purely driven by the necessities.
I sincerely thank Mr. Girish Govande and also Mr. Mukesh Kumar Tiwari for sharing the valuable views in the session today. Thanks to everyone. It was really a pleasure being with you today.